to another episode of the Arizona Breakdown. My name is Andre.
Oh, hey, I'm Ryan.
And today we are joined by dudes in American Standards.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
So.
No, we already did that one. We already did that.
Yeah.
Start over.
God damn it, we got to track again.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah. Story of my life.
Let's have you guys introduce yourselves and what you do.
Brandon Kellum, do vocals for American Standards.
I'm Steven Mandel, and I play bass
Hell yeah.
in American
Fresh
Standards.
haircut, too.
Yeah.
Nice. Looking good, Steven.
Thanks, man.
Looking fresh, man.
Haven't seen him for a while.
So, how has everything been in the American Standards camp?
It's been good. Just
Plugging away, man.
plugging away.
By that, I had to ask you when we played our last show, and you knew.
Yeah.
We're slowing down. We're pacing out. We're being methodical, as they say. Selective. Selective.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. We're about to go like 4 months without playing a show, so.
Ooh, so you guys got us beat.
Well, so he's in a different band.
I'm on 10 years. Wait, no, 11 years.
Wait, what's the last band?
It was a band in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, it's been a while.
God damn.
I know.
Bit of a dry spell.
Yeah. That's why I'm just itching, man. I'm
Ready to get back on stage. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. Hit up the Craigslist. Is that how people find bands still? I don't know.
Right.
So, actually, the last two bands that I've been in, we have found a member using Craigslist.
People are still on there.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, I just assumed you go on there to like lurk the misconnections and kind of laugh at the people that post on misconnections.
Dude,
Yeah.
we we were looking through misconnections and accidentally found a vocalist.
Yeah.
Like, shit.
You were
That's
singing in the
actually-
car beside me.
Yeah.
Looked like he had a nice guttural.
Oh my God.
Wasn't it Craigslist actually how we officially met though? You and I
Probably, yeah. That was
Oh
around that
my
time.
God.
10
around that
years
time,
ago,
yeah.
Oh, God.
Because
Nice.
we jammed in a band briefly where I was singing and he was playing bass. And it was like role reversal, yeah. And then he went on to start American Standards, and then soon after I ended up starting a band called Ape Kill Ape.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how we first met was Craigslist.
Yeah, I completely
Officially,
forgot
like
that.
because we played shows together in our old bands,
Yeah.
but we never spoke or anything. But
Hey, and
Yeah.
We had these strict rules: no looking at each other in the eyes.
Yeah.
Don't mess with the talent.
sorry, man, not to wear in a band together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And neither of you are serial killers, so
so it worked
Yeah.
out.
wins again.
Or we're just really good at it. And
Yeah.
us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so neither of you have been confirmed as serial killers.
Right.
Wait till
So-
the Netflix documentary comes out.
Oh my God.
He seemed like such a nice kid.
Yeah.
The true
Why
story
are they
behind
calling him a
American
kid? He's
Standards.
34.
That Aaron Hernandez one is pretty good. You might.
Yeah, we actually watched that. Not too
piggyback
long ago.
off
That's
of
good.
it.
Yeah. I feel like we're making a whole new generation of serial killers that are going to be super smart because they've watched all these Netflix documentaries.
Yeah. Here's what not to do.
Yeah, right?
Well, that was
He was an idiot.
yes, and I feel weird enjoying stuff like that because it's just like, I mean, this is really interesting, but somebody did die, and I'm just like, but fuck Netflix, like, why you got to put out so much good content?
Yeah.
Right.
And like every podcast, I mean, you got stuff like Last Podcast on the Left that's killing it right now. They're selling out arenas. It's like we're struggling to fill like, a 200 capacity venue. Hell, we're struggling to fill like a 20 capacity living room.
So you're right on pace.
Yeah, right. That's where you're at about 10 years into your career.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
pretty standard,
Yep.
slow burn, but playing the
American?
long game.
Well, dude, I was gonna say, like, fucking, you guys are definitely veterans to the scene because fucking, like you said, it's been 10 years. You guys have been together for 10 goddamn years.
If you would have asked me when I was like a teenager, like what I'd be doing in 10 years, it probably wouldn't have been still screaming in a band. But then now, like, I'm in, that was teenagers into my 20s. Now I'm in my 30s. It's like, I can't imagine not doing this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then, like, if you ask me what I'm going to be doing in my 40s, like, that'd be sad if I'm still doing this. Then when I'm 40, I'm probably going to feel completely different. We'll see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like I would hope that, like, fucking, the older I get, I would hope that I stick with music.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, look at
Yeah.
Lamb of God. All those guys are old as fuck now.
This is true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and they're
true.
still pretty dang good.
Yeah, a lot of these
Disturbed's
bands are
hitting
rocking
up
the
their-
skullets. So
20th anniversary of their Disturbed's hitting up their 20th anniversary of their debut album.
Oh, goddamn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
they're still down with the sickness. I think that's kind of stupefied.
Yeah.
I, for one, am not well versed with the Arizona hardcore scene. Would you say, okay?
I'm not versed with anything in Arizona.
He
very
said
well.
11 years.
Yeah.
How long have you been here for?
10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You just
can't find a
couldn't
drummer, right?
any-
Thank you. Yes.
Every other person on every Arizona Facebook group.
Yeah. I even came with a drummer.
Yeah.
And Arizona was like, "You shall not pass." And he went home.
I saw I saw a drummer the other day posting on some of the Facebook groups, and no one was responding. I'm like, this guy must be a cop. Because normally there'd be like 100 comments after that being like, do you play Disturbed? Do you play Iron Maiden? Do you play Lynyrd Skynyrd? Do you play... Like, he'll have a clear description of what he's looking for, but everybody's like, yeah, but maybe I can get you into, like, Rings of Saturn.
Yeah, like some Daft Punk fusion. Like,
Yeah.
come on, man, you down? God damn.
With a
dude.
sickness.
Good throwback there.
Yeah. Full
Dude,
circle.
god damn, drummers out here posting like drum thirst traps. Like, fuck.
It's like fake Tinder profiles, but drummers.
Oh my god. Dude, what if we made an app for musicians? You swipe left and right.
There is an app like that, actually.
There is?
Really? There totally is an app like that, and I forget what it's called, and you guys aren't getting paid by them, so I'm not going to name drop even if I knew.
Yeah.
But I know there's an app like, it's called Vamper. You can edit this if you don't want to give them a plug here for free.
We don't edit anything.
No free
it's
rides.
edited.
No free rides. I know because I was on there and I was swiping. I'm swiping. And then I matched. And who do I get in my inbox but Brendan Westermeyer, our original guitarist?
Oh, wow.
And he's like, you're on here too? I'm like, nah, I'm just promoting, man.
Holy shit, that's a name I have not heard in fucking forever.
Yeah, he's doing a few bands still, but like they're all like Mike Cook bands. Mike Cook's in like all the bands, like Ghost Mother and Glitter Bomb and Death Row or all these other things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways,
Dude, hell yeah.
did you have a question about hardcore? I forget what we're going on. Sorry, I just threw you off entirely.
No, this is what
that's great.
happens.
Yeah.
We start on a subject, the subject shifts.
So yeah, it's
It's
probably
good.
hardcore in Arizona.
I'm gonna have to check that out. That sounds really cool though.
Yeah, it's just a swipe. It's literally the same concept, but you're swiping on musicians, and you're like, what are you interested in? You know, drummer within 10 miles or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I
Blast
feel like-
beats.
Yeah, I feel like that's just nothing but drummers just like, nah.
I only go on there when I get drunk. You know, I don't really respond to them.
I was going through a bad breakup with my band. I'm sorry. I was just looking for a short-term gig.
Did you download the Vamper app again? Oh,
We went through your phone. We saw it.
Is it just me, or do whenever I encounter a drummer who's looking for a band, they never have their own vehicle or barely a job
Or a drum set.
or
Or a drum
Yo,
set.
I'll
That
drum.
happens a lot,
I'll drum
too.
for you, but do you have a drum set? Can you pick me up?
yeah.
Also, you know, my schedule's kind of spotty, so I'll let you know.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the drummer experiences I've heard from like friends and whatnot, I'm just like, oh my god, like you can't get away with that as a guitarist.
Yeah.
That's because, a guitar, like
Everybody plays guitar.
plays guitar to some extent, and then every bassist was a guitarist.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Can you vouch?
Yeah.
there's
Very
not
much
very
so.
many bassists that like just started on bass.
Yeah.
I feel like when we were talking with Beyond Our Suffering too, they were just like, oh yeah, fucking started out on bass and realized it just was not for me. No disrespect. to
None at
bass.
all. None taken.
It's really just a guitarist that broke a couple strings. It's like, hey, this is easier.
Yeah.
I wasn't using those strings anyways, honestly, if you're playing heavy music for the most part.
Well, for me, I remember I used to always want to play drums, but I grew up in New York and I grew up in an apartment and we couldn't have drums in the apartment. I remember I was telling you the story, a few months ago, how like my dad for Christmas one year bought me a harmonica. I was like, this is not a drum kit. What am I supposed to do with this thing? And
Are you
then,
telling me the story sober? Because I'm pretty sure I was followed up with, why don't we have harmonica in our band?
right, well, yeah.
Did I say that?
Yeah, because we had a song with a harmonica.
I'm glad I stayed on
And
character.
you said, why did you play it? Why did I have to play it? Because you played a harmonica on one of our songs a while ago.
Oh, that's probably at Andy's house. Where
Yeah,
I was
it was
just
a long time
Yo,
ago.
I'm drunk. I'm gonna play every single instrument I can. Then the next morning we woke up. That was all a horrible idea. There's a lot of random layers in there, and you don't hear any of it because it's all buried.
Right.
Oh god damn.
I'm just in there playing violin. I'm like, we had some piano stuff. We took like the snake rattle. That's definitely in there.
Yeah, that's in there.
Yeah.
So, how long ago did you move here from New York?
I moved out here. I was a kid. I was probably like 1999 or 2000 or so.
God damn. Okay.
And I first moved in Sedona.
Oh damn.
So up in Sedona, it was like, what do you do besides like smoke weed or go skateboarding? So I just did a little of both, and I went skateboarding,
Tell
and then
people's like fortunes with crystals.
right, exactly. You went and you did the Vortex tours
Yes.
and the Jeep tours, and you did all that, and I did it all in the first week I lived there, and then ever since then it was like, well, now what do I do? And then I started playing guitar, and I found like 4 other kids that listened to the Deftones, and then we started playing like Deftones covers and Korn covers and stuff like that. And
And
then,
a few of them probably also played guitar, so they're like,
yeah,
you just want to play bass.
yeah. And then that's when I moved to Phoenix, and then I met other like-minded musicians and other groups and stuff. But yeah, Sedona was horrible for a kid. Don't recommend.
I couldn't imagine that being too fun.
Yeah.
Although some of the small town shows are like the best shows. Like honestly, I don't think I've played better shows than playing like Prescott.
Yeah.
Because they've got like 3 bands there, so anybody that lives there has seen those 3 bands a million times.
Yeah.
So a band from Phoenix comes out there and they treat them like rock stars,
Dude, hell yeah.
So those small town shows are sometimes the best shows.
Well, yeah, because they got nothing to do, so they're like, let's go to a show tonight.
Yeah, and you'll have a show with like a hip hop artist.
Yeah.
You'll have like an indie band, a punk band, a hip hop artist, and everybody's just there to like have fun because they have nothing else to do.
That's cool.
Whereas like in Phoenix, like when they try to do the mixed genre bills, like it's just like one crowd's for this band and then they take off and then the next band comes, they got a different crowd. Yeah. It just doesn't work as well when you have so many options.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. Like, I've been to a couple mixed genre shows over here, and it's always been interesting to say the least. Like,
everybody says they want them though.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing.
Everybody says they want mixed genre shows, but it's just like, why? You're just gonna leave the moment your band is done.
Yeah.
Like,
What they really want is a DJ.
right?
Hey, this is true. I've inadvertently fallen into that trap here where I've been doing these DJ shows. I'm like, wow, more people come out and listen to me play a Spotify playlist than and I get drink tokens.
Yeah, you get 30 seconds. You get the fucking hook of every song.
Yeah,
back to back to back. You're drunk. And it's awesome.
That's the thing about it. So I didn't realize. So I started doing these at Rebel Lounge because Jeff and Steve's like, hey, you want to start jumping on these DJ nights and just nostalgia nights. Like I did like a Tony Hawk night and like a MySpace night and just like all these random nights. So like just playing like deathcore and shit from like MySpace, like Irish Front and stuff like that. You know? Boom, snap, clap. And and the crazy thing about it is you go up there and like when you're playing in a band, people will bring you shots and like get you drinks. But when I'm screaming, I can't just keep pounding shots because I got to scream. When you're a DJ, like you've got no excuse not to, and you don't want to look like the guy that someone just bought you a shot and you're like, nah, I'm good. So you can go through a couple of shots very, very quick, and then I'm like, all right, I still got like 40 minutes up here. I'm going to make a fool of myself. And I have.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen a lot more of that happening. Isn't like emo night kind of similar?
It's huge. Like they're selling out emo night. So emo night was literally once a month at Rebel. Now it's like every weekend at Rebel.
Damn.
Plus like Crescent's doing it,
it.
Van Buren's doing it. Before Joe's closed, Joe's was trying to do it. Everywhere's trying to like capitalize on these things, and they'll have lines out the door. So you're like, people are, and if you've ever been to one, they treat it like a real show where people are running up and jumping on stage. They're like trying to grab the mic to sing along. They're like crowd surfing. I'm like, man, I've been to like hundreds, if not thousands, of local shows where none of this happens.
Yeah.
And this guy's up here with a Spotify playlist. He hasn't even paid for Spotify Premium. The ad comes on. People are all just like, yeah. Ad goes
Fucking
hard.
Geico!
Can't wait to the drop.
Drop your insurance rates 15% or less. Or more,
Dude,
rather.
that's insane. Like I never like.
It's a little depressing, but also like, I don't know. I get it. People want to like. These are people that have to get a babysitter. They haven't been to a show in probably a couple years, and they're like, "I'm just gonna go out and listen to stuff I already know." Like, I don't want to hear some band playing stuff I haven't heard.
Right.
Yeah. Well, hopefully someday, 10 years from now, somebody will listen to my band stuff at a death metal
nostalgia night. Yeah. Like I said, these MySpace nights are just playing like deathcore era MySpace stuff. It's everybody that was in your top 8.
Oh God.
Holy shit.
Fucking good times, dude. Well, on that one, we're going to go to a quick commercial break and we will be right back. Thank you for staying, watching. I can do words. Yes.
The best words.
So we're gonna jump back into it. I got some questions for you guys. Actually, let's talk about Weep. Weep was one of the singles that you guys released back in 2018.
Sounds about right. Story checks out.
I'm pretty sure that's somewhere around there. But reading through the lyrics for that song, it seemed like it just really resonates for anyone going through depression, perhaps addiction. Can you explain some of the deeper meaning to the lyrics?
Yeah, Weep is actually the first song that I didn't write. We had a ghostwriter. No, it's actually the first song that I didn't write all the lyrics for. And Corey wrote the lyrics. And Corey at the time was going through a breakup, and he had been in a relationship for a couple of years, right?
Yeah, a few years.
And he was living with a girl at the time. So when he wrote the song on guitar, which normally the songs all kind of start with Corey writing a riff, and then him and I kind of just throwing ideas back and forth. And that started like that, and I had a bunch of lines on a notepad almost every single day. I'm just kind of adding lines to a notepad. And I said, Corey, let's start going through these lines. And he's like, well, you know what? I think I have an idea to build off of. And that's the first time that he kind of took lead in writing the lyrics to the song. And I think it just had a lot to do with that kind of time in his life where he was living with a girl for the first time. I think the first time he had, lived out of his actual house with his parents and everything. And he had something to say. And I think he was probably going through a lot of depression at the time. So...
Damn. Okay. Hell yeah. And so, as far as the discography goes, so what would you be your guys' favorite song to play live, and then the song that has the most meaning for you, or your favorite song personally?
Here's Steven's answer.
They can be the same thing.
Yeah, they can be the same song.
Well, I wasn't I didn't write the song because it was written before I joined, but I would say Engine and Engineer is one of my favorites to play. Okay. That one just has a lot of energy behind it. I mean, they all do, but that one, it starts with bass. So that one's the truth. So that's the truth. But that one's a lot of fun to play, and I just have I just like messing with my pedals when I play that song because I can put different things on and make it all my own kind of sound initially. What was the second half?
So just the song that has the most meaning to you personally.
Okay. You know what? Speaking of Weep, I would probably say we've all kind of been through a part in our life where you kind of have some ups and some downs. So I could definitely feel what Weep was about when it was first written and first heard the lyrics. I remember first hearing it and being like, oh shit. Like that's one of the ones for a while that was like hitting home, I guess, kind of. For me at least, yeah.
Yeah. The thing I like about Weep too is like the way it's written is a little more like straightforward. Like it's less cryptic than a lot of our like the stuff that I write is.
That's true.
Whereas like it's not hidden in as much like metaphor, So I think it's easier to connect with in a lot of ways. And it's more personal, which we do, especially as we went into anti-melody, we started writing songs that were a little bit more personal. But I would say on the first album or the first album and EP, they weren't as personal in tone.
What about your favorite to do live?
My favorites. So I think my favorite song to play live is actually probably "The Red Queen" off the Still Life, our first album in 2012. Oh, yeah. That's the one that I always like. We put out Harvester first as a single, and then we put out the complete like other side of the coin, which was the Still Life, which is a much slower, more moody song. But I always wish we would have made a video or put more focus on the Red Queen. But you can tell that we all like it, or at least I'm just pushing hard to continue playing it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we're still playing. That's like one of the songs that we're still playing to this day. Like I don't think we've ever played a show without playing that song.
Hell yeah. Okay.
So that would probably be that. And then when it comes to the one that has the most meaning, it's always hard to say because like I think if going to the album, I really like the Still Life, and I still feel that one very much to this day. Then kind of fast forward to our last album, Anti-Melody. I mean, there's songs on there about my dad passing away from cancer, like Cancer Eater, or Cody, our original guitarist, committed suicide, which was our song Chicago Overcoat. So there's like a lot of really personal songs on that album. That was just really cathartic to kind of write about. So yeah, I think. Yeah, I know it's always hard to kind of pick which one resonates the most for me.
Yeah, no, and that's crazy. Like the amount of meaning behind you guys' songs, like especially just the ones that do touch to such a personal level. Like that's amazing. Yeah. What
art
was
is cool.
Yeah,
Art is cool.
It's really
Art
cool.
is cool. Yeah.
This next section is brought to you by Art.
We're gonna have to cut that part. They didn't sponsor us today.
Go to art.com//Arizona Breakdown. Get 15% off the art.html.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope someday. Like, so please watch and share, maybe, so that someday we can get a sponsorship, maybe like Raid Shadow Legends or something.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, we'd be down to sponsor an RPG mobile game.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
What about Quest 64? I mean, the original RPG. Have you guys ever seen that game?
No, I never played Quest.
Nintendo 64. My dad bought me a Nintendo 64, and the only game he got me when I originally got it was Quest 64, and it made me hate it because it's literally the worst game ever made. It's just horrible. Like, if you guys like RPG games, this is not the game for you. If you guys like games, this is not the game for you.
If you enjoy being bored in a very torturous manner,
Yeah, Quest 64.
right up your alley.
Yeah.
Oh, so touching base back on the hardcore scene. So yeah, we're not very well versed when it comes to the hardcore scene. What is like? How's the health of the hardcore scene at the moment? And also, who are some locals that you guys would recommend for people to check out?
I feel like the hardcore scene is stronger than ever, especially over the last couple of years. But I feel like we're so disconnected from most scenes to begin with, just because this is kind of a weird thing. But when we kind of going back to what we were talking about on the break, is when we first started, we only played with bands that were kind of like us, like hardcore bands, and we built, I don't know if you want to say credibility to blow smoke up our asses or something, but it's like we built a clique of friends and fans and bands that came to all the shows just because everybody knew each other and it was comfortable. It was a community, which was great. But then, at least personally, I hated the idea of being like, we have to play these bands at these venues. So we started branching off, saying, okay, if it's a good band, it doesn't matter what style of music it is, and it doesn't matter if it's a venue that typically doesn't have hardcore shows. If it's a place that we like, we'll play there. If it's a band that we like, we'll play with it, regardless of the style. And because of that, I think we started becoming a little more disconnected from the community that's kind of around each scene, because we were almost like just casual, like, visitors of every scene, you know?
Yeah.
So like when I say the hardcore scene's better than ever, there's some bands that are really killing. Like you got bands like Easy Money that are like, their shows are great. I mean, people that come out to the shows are just going nuts the whole time, and you could tell that these people go to every show they play. And we played shows with them, and we played shows with all these other bands, but I don't feel like we're a part of any of those communities anymore, because I think unfortunately when people see you playing at places that they don't go to, or with bands that they don't necessarily listen to, they don't see you as like one of their kind anymore. Which, like, I want to be the band that can like build a bridge between those. Yeah. But not everybody's gonna get that. Everybody kind of wants to feel like they're with the people that are, you know, like them.
Yeah.
So it's I do think the scene is really, really booming right now. But and I see it, like, just looking back as, you know, a casual observer, I see these 5 or 6 bands that are always playing with each other, and when I see the videos, I'm like, shit, this is going nuts. That's just like it was back in, you know, 2005 when Metal Devastation was around, or whatever it is, you know? But I'm no longer a part of that, and I don't think I need to be a part of that anymore, you know? Yeah. Like, I'm not 18 anymore. I don't necessarily need those 5 bands with the same 100 people that come to every show, you know? I'm willing to be the band that steps into those shows occasionally, but I don't 100% belong to it.
Okay. Like, that definitely makes sense.
But there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of hardcore bands that are just crushing it right now. Putting me on the spot, I'm trying to think of like the list of bands in my head. But yeah, there are a lot of bands I just see consistently playing these shows that are doing really well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bassist seal of approval.
Yeah.
Told you he's bassist, so he's kind of in the band.
Yeah. Currently in the band.
Here, like, is this not practice?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I'm thinking like, so you haven't played for 11 years, but I don't.
Why do you gotta bring that up?
do you go to shows pretty often still? Or?
I try to, yeah.
Do you feel like there's like, is it like more like the metal, like the death metal,
I go to the death metal because I'm.
But do you see like the same people at the death metal shows? Or?
Oh, for sure. But that's music, local music in general.
Yeah. And that's what
music.
I mean.
I think music in general is people stick with their clique.
Yeah.
Or their clan of what they're into.
And we'll play like, hell, we played a show with, it was Enterprise Earth, Winds of Plague, and Rings of Saturn.
Oh.
And then us.
Yeah.
Different.
And we're completely different. And I'm thinking like, okay, I liked all these bands growing up. Let's play this show. And it was great. Like, I thought people were going to hate us. Afterwards, there was like a handful of people coming up. They're buying merch. They're just talking about how they didn't expect it because we're the only band that didn't have like triggers on stage and stage risers and all this stuff like that. And there are people that really like respected it because it was so different. Yeah. But you can tell there's also people that are like, what the hell is this, you know?
Yeah.
But like, we'll play those shows, and we have no problem playing those shows if there were bands that we like, you know? Mm-hmm. If it's a band that's just like, I mean, we've got to think that they either it's a good band or they stand for something that we believe in, you know? And it doesn't matter what they sound like to me, you know? In terms of like their genre, like what tag they have to them, that's kind of that comes second to if it's just solid music. Yeah. But saying that, like I know that playing that show, there's people that have probably gone to the last Rings of Sand show since Rings of Sand were big on MySpace, you know. And same with Winds of Plague and all that stuff like that. But they probably had never heard our name before, even though we'd been a band for 10 years at that point, you know.
Right.
Their logo's legible. Like, what the fuck?
We did make the... I'm like, man, in comparison to these logos, we've got Comic Sans. We're written in Bradley.
No, dude, like, to touch on this subject of logos for a second, like, I'm starting to lean against, like, the old school, like, can't understand what the fuck it is logos. And, like, because I recently was looking at a flyer, and my buddy had shared his flyer, and I was just like, yo, dude, like, I don't know if I like any of those bands because I don't know who you're playing with. He didn't tag any bands in the fucking caption, so I was like...
You also gotta use, like, you know, there's like that whole thing for if you're deaf, you can press the button and it'll read it out loud to you. That's what you need for death metal flyers.
Death metal braille.
Dude, there's actual font types that are like death metal or brutal death metal, like font types. You can download them and they look just like a fucking logo, dude.
Back in my day, all we had was Bleeding Cowboy.
I remember that. I do remember that.
Dude, fucking the ways we've come, like... I remember, like, my first band sitting there just like, oh, yeah, I wonder if we could just, like, download a font and make a logo.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's still bands that do that.
Fuck.
When you can notice their font type, I mean. But, yeah, I mean, to kind of touch back on that, it's like, we've done those shows, but then we've also, like, we did a show with Emery and Oh Sleeper, and then some other band, which they're all, like, Christian, some other, like, I don't know, not hardcore, post-hardcore, whatever you want to call that style of music. And we played that show where we're the only not like Christian band or post-hardcore band on the show. And it was the same exact feeling. It's like, that was a completely soft show. And then you got this other Winds of Plague type show that's completely heavy. And we're always like kind of the odd man out on there. But like, I feel like we make the most lifelong fans while also making the largest population of people also say, what the hell is this? You know?
Yeah. And metalheads are generally pretty big, elitist assholes.
Yeah. But so, I mean, I'm okay with it because I was definitely there too when I was young. I was like, when I was 16, I'm like, I don't listen to anything else other than this style of music.
Right.
But there was a certain point where I was like, okay, like it doesn't matter what it is, it can still be good music, you know?
Yeah,
and that's why I hope that maybe we can show people is like they don't have to necessarily listen to our music before they go to our show, but they might respect our live show because we're up there like having a good time and like really showing that like you don't have to fit this certain mold to be like in heavy music, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Katy Perry's amazing.
And I mean, you guys fucking listening through the discography, fucking, you guys have some fucking high energy songs, dude. Like,
thanks, man.
Fucking.
I think our biggest thing is always, just bringing the energy to the live show. It's like, I think we've always struggled with finding a way to match that to our recordings, but like our live show is everything. That's our bread and butter. It's like, if you come to a live show, I don't care what crowd we're playing in front of. Like, we want to win you over, and we want to show you that you can have fun, but still like heavy music, you know? Like, it's not all about just going there with your arms crossed in your front row. Which, I mean, nothing against that. I've done that myself. I'm getting older. I stand in the back. I'll have my arms crossed until they play that one song that, or I'm coming out of pit retirement.
Well, we were talking last time too with the Vocalist podcast, and Poff, Stephen Poff was mentioning like there was a dude, Pariah, and he's like there was a dude in the crowd sitting there with his arms crossed, and he couldn't get a reaction out of this guy. And he came up after they were done playing. He's like, dude, that was fucking awesome. He's like, I couldn't tell if you liked it. He's like, I was zoned in.
Yeah.
So there are those guys, you know. They'll sit back and they'll just be watching and taking it in as an experience. And I think that's really cool. But then there are, on the other side, guys that are just like, waiting for the next band.
Yeah, dude.
My goal is like to try to give everybody something they could like remember You know, and
Right.
like talk about like I remember when this happened, like this was unexpected, you know, and that's why I just like I go up there and when I see people's reactions, I'm just trying to like make some kind of connection with them, you know.
Yeah.
And what's cool too is like you probably have heard of people say it before, but like whether there's like 2 people in the crowd or like 200 people or whatever, like we'll put on the same show just because we like having fun, and then
Yeah.
that's just what. I mean, that's for at least for me, I could speak for is that's what I like to do is have fun when I play shows. So you'll see me like headbanging and with a giant smile on my face, and there could be like that one dude just sitting there like with his arms crossed, and I'm just like, it's cool, dude. You're here.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if
So,
there's 2 people
you know
in
what I
the
mean?
crowd or 3 people. We're gonna
Right.
An extra person doesn't count for me. It's fine.
I mean, 50% more people,
Right.
same amount of energy. Though.
60% of the time
I
it
feel
works
like, I say
every
this all the
time.
for like, when people like talk about the shows, it's like, is it harder to play a bigger show than a smaller show? It's like when you play a smaller show and you can actually see the facial reactions of each
Yeah.
person. I feel like it is a little bit harder, especially now that I got LASIK. Because before, I mean, like ignorantly blissful. I was just like, okay, like I take my glasses off before I get on stage. I assume everybody's having a good time.
Yep.
Now I could see your facial reaction. It's a little bit different.
Put the glasses back on so you don't see so well.
Need some blinders here. This is a
Yep.
little depressing.
Yep.
Only this many people come to our shows. It seems so much crowded when you're all a blur.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, you guys are one of the more experienced bands that we've had on. So you guys actually do have some like tour experience, don't you?
Yeah,
under your
yeah.
belt?
Well, yeah, actually, I think I sent it to you guys the other day. Like we've been on like Songkick where all the stuff feeds over to Spotify and stuff, and it gave us a notification the other day we had played like our 400th show or something like
Oh,
that.
wow.
Shit.
So it's like we played some shows,
Yeah.
but it's over the course of 10 years too. So it's like
Yeah.
I guess 400 shows over 10 years isn't as much as most bands that have been around for 10 years, but like I would say a good like 20% of those, 25% of those are probably tour shows, and then the rest are back home. You know.
No.
But like we've always been the band that's like coming into this band. I had been in several bands before this, and I didn't want to go back to grinding because I remember when I was in a band and my dream was just to tour nonstop. And then there was a certain point where we did that for long enough where it became a job, and it was just like the fun isn't there. Like when you're on like week 1, week 2, week 3 of tour, everything is new, everything is great. You're experiencing every moment of it. But then when you're out there much longer than that, it's just like, okay, so we're going to drive for 8 hours today. I'm going to get out by the venue. I'm going to find something close to eat. It's probably going to be Taco Bell. It just becomes another routine, you know? And the routine is what I hate, you know? So
Yeah.
I love with American Standards now when we do tour, it's a week at a time, 2 weeks tops. It's all fun. It's all fresh. Like we're all old guys now. We've got to request PTO at work. But we're looking forward to it, you know? Day of tour is like, this is great. Every single day we're going to soak up. And then by the end, we go back to our lives and we're fine, you know? So we do it as much as we want now, but we don't have to do it because none of us are paying any bills off of this.
Yeah.
Nor would we be able to if we tried because Spotify is giving
Right.
us like $40 a month. And that money normally goes into like paying off our debt from recording and merch and everything
Yeah.
else, you know?
Very true.
So it's just, now it's just fun again.
Dude, hell yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, even what you were saying, like, 400 shows over 10 years, that's still an average of 40 shows a year.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not bad. And then most of that comes because we'll do normally 2 weeks, and then we'll do that 2 or 3 times a year. And then the rest is like playing a local show once every couple months, you know?
God damn, that's holy shit. That's impressive though. Like, you guys have any stories from the road that off the top of your head?
Let me think.
I mean,
Do you
I
have
feel
any-
like the last bigger tour that we did was the most unexpected because up until that tour, I've pretty much booked every show we've ever played. Like just myself. But if it's a tour, I'll book the whole tour. I'll do press with the tour. So it's like we'll get into town, we'll do like a podcast or we'll do like a college radio thing, which I feel say for like anybody that's in a metal band, like most metal bands dismiss like the fact that anybody's going to fuck with them at all because they're like, oh, I'm screaming. Like some college radio station doesn't care. But like when you're an out of town band and you go to a different state, they're normally like, oh, these people are probably big, even though you're not, you know?
Yeah.
So like everybody's pretty stoked about it. So like we'll do all our own press and everything. That tour was completely hands off. It was with this band called Steak Sauce Mustache, so you know it's very serious. And Brett, shout out to Brett Ruse, he said, I've got this tour booked. You guys just got to come along, and that's all. Like you don't have to book any of the shows or anything else. And I'm like, cool, let's do it. And he shows me like the lineup. And it's like, okay, we're starting off. We're playing a bicycle shop, and then we're going to a pizza shop, and then we're gonna go over to we're playing a skating rink.
Yes, we played a skate rink.
And then we're playing a Chinese food restaurant.
Oh man!
So I'm like, okay, the routing's a little different than I normally do. So I was a little worried how it was gonna be, and it was so crazy because every night was just kind of like back to that, like it was an experience for people because it was so weird where we were playing, and also for us because like we played in the middle of a roller skating rink with like 200 people skating around us. They were like. They had balloons attached to them, and they're playing like Mario Kart, like battle mode basically, where they're trying to pop each other's balloons. And there's like a bar at the roller skating rink, and like it was just so much fun. And then we played that Chinese food restaurant where it's just a sea of people crowd surfing the whole time.
Yeah, that was a good one.
We're just playing in the back room of some Chinese food restaurant. It's like every show, I feel like we had a story from. You know, it was so cool.
I remember the Chinese food restaurant. For some reason, someone told me not to eat there, and I was really bummed because I love Chinese food. So I'm going to a Taco Bell up the street. And I was with Corey, and I fell asleep at the Taco Bell. and I woke up to like 5 messages from you being like, where are you? We're about to play. And I'm like, oh, shit. I got to race back over.
Where are you? We're sound checking the bass tracks right now.
Yeah.
It looks not realistic if you're not standing up there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You gotta make sure you turned all the way down.
Yeah.
We don't want any mishaps like in Tacoma.
I'd be mad about that too. Like Chinese food's my favorite.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Fucking, I feel like that would be half the perk of playing in a Chinese restaurant, like Chinese food restaurant. Fucking get done, go get some takeout.
I was really bummed. Someone's like, yeah, you don't want to eat here. And I'm like, is it really like that bad? Am I going to get sick? I don't know, but I've never been here. And, all right.
Yeah, so some of those shows I feel like, and those were like, they're small venues with air quotes.
Quote unquote.
They're smaller places, but they're all packed because they're so small. So they're just so much fun. And like, I mean, it's also crazy to me like when we play a show and someone drives further than we drove to like actually go to the show. Like we played like the show, and this might have been before you, but we played the show once. I think it was in St. Louis. And this guy drove like 12 hours to come to the show, and he gets to the show, and it's a small place that holds maybe 70 people jam-packed. And we're like, I was thinking in my head, like, this dude drove 12 hours to see us, and he was probably expecting some big old show with like some laser lights or some fog. I don't know what kids like. But it's like, you're in this small little room, and I'm like, I almost feel bad for him. But he was having the time of his life the whole time. And I'm like, when he came to our merch booth, I'm like, take everything, just anything's yours.
No, my God.
Don't worry. Or the same thing with like Dan and the guys from Discography discussion.
I was just going to bring that up. Yeah.
Was that St. Louis too? That was in Missouri somewhere.
That was in Missouri somewhere.
Yeah, and they thought the venue. We thought it was a venue. They thought it was a venue. It was called Bubba Combs, and it was on the news a while back.
Yeah, they got shut down. Yeah,
but it was called Bubba Combs Record Shop, and we're thinking like,
house.
Yeah, we thought it was gonna be like maybe like a record shop or a music venue, and it was actually just a house in the middle of like a normal, suburban area.
Wow.
And these guys drove like 5-6 hours to come see us.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're like, wow, you guys are just playing a house? And afterwards, like, that was one of the most fun shows I've ever seen.
It was, yeah, that was a really cool show. It was really hot, but we're used to the heat, obviously, living out here. And everyone's like taking their shirts off and like sweating and like freaking out. And I remember distinctly saying, can we turn the heat on? Like, just being a dick, just like.
Got a nippy over here.
I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, and I'm like, you guys. You want to turn the heat on or something? I don't know. It's a little nippy out here.
Yeah, and we're still like good friends with those guys. Like, we've been on the podcast multiple times. Like Dan and Joe, and that was a couple years ago. And we're still close with them. So
yeah.
Dope.
So those are the shows that are like, seems like the shows that you think are gonna be the worst always somehow end up being like the best shows. You know.
Oh yeah.
And then like a band you're looking forward to, like we're talking to about outside. It's like a band you've been looking forward to, like seeing forever, playing with forever. Those are normally the ones that are like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. Like I wish we would have kept that at arm's length because it's a little bit different,
No, I feel that. I definitely feel that. But on that one, we're gonna go to a quick commercial break, so we will be right back. So enjoy.
And we're back.
Cool. All right, we're back into it. So, DIY shows.
How much fun are those?
A lot of fun. Next question.
All right, cool. That's the podcast. Bye, guys.
Is it the
Grand
D,
finale.
the I, or the Y part that's so much fun?
Mostly the why. Because it's yourself.
Gotta hold yourself accountable sometimes.
Yeah.
For the fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say like fucking house shows. I feel like those. I have not played a goddamn house show in so goddamn long. Like,
It gets more awkward when we get older. I would think, but it's like, all right, I'm 30 here. Most people are here probably like 16 or 17. I remember we played actually a house show like that where, this is probably like 5-6 years ago, but we're playing in a basement and there's a lot of people there and everybody's drinking. We're playing with lariats actually. And then the cops came and raided the place.
Oh.
So everybody's like running and jumping the fence, and me and Corey's like, grab your shit, let's jump the fence. And then we're like, wait,
We don't have to do
we're over 21.
It's like
We
that.
could just
It's like that
stand here.
scene in.
We're just drinking in a
what's
house.
that movie? That scene in Beer Fest. In Beer Fest, when they're like, we have to go out and party to practice our beer drinking tests. So like they're doing like beer games, like beer pong and stuff like that. And then there's a scene where the cops come and raid the place, and like one of the guys is like hiding behind a bush with a kid, and he's like, dude, aren't you like 35? And he stands up and he's like, so? And like just walks away.
I feel like my OCD would kick in hard. I'd be sitting there with a beer and be like, oh, he spilled.
Yeah.
Oh, no, the trash is like, it needs to
You're
get
just cleaning
taken
up
out. Yeah. It's like, oh, God, if this was my house, I'd be freaking out.
Does anybody have a Clorox wipe?
Yeah.
dude, I feel so bad for the houses after house shows.
Absolutely.
We used to do them at
Fuck,
Corey's
dude.
house. So his parents' house. We used to do them at his parents' house. And I remember one time distinctly, we had a circle pit going on in their bedroom or in their living room.
Yeah.
And someone fell backwards and fell into the wall. And there was a perfectly shaped ass in the wall. Like you could see the crack because it was like it's like that. It was great. I think they kept it a little bit as art.
Yeah.
Should have gone with the 5/8 inch
Anyways,
drywall.
art.com/Arizona Breakdown, 15% off.
15% off. Use it now.
For all your drywall needs.
Dude, like I remember fucking last house show we played, the floors. Somebody had dropped a beer at some point during the pit. And it was tile.
Yep.
And the fucking pit just turned into a slip and slide.
Yep.
It's fucking hilarious. Well, it was great up until people kept sliding into us. And so like there were a couple times when you just had to you sidestep fucking, but then you realize your amp's behind you, so you're just like, let me just push you back real quick. I don't want you knocking my shit over.
Yeah.
The best part
totally.
about house shows now is like every house names itself that does house shows,
Yup.
and it always has like some super dramatic name. Like there's literally a house show or a house here that does house shows called Cricket Pavilion.
Really?
So it just kind of throws people off because
Cool.
they're like, I'm playing Cricket Pavilion tonight.
Wait, isn't that a real...
It is.
Yep.
That's why it's funny.
What the fuck?
Yep.
Or is
But
it
they do
different
shows there
now?
all the
Is
time.
it not really Cricket Pavilion anymore? The new...
No, it's like Auction or something.
Auction. Yeah.
That's where
Okay.
that's where the Disturbed show's gonna be.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, why am I going to buy tickets to that when I can just go to Rock Night?
Yeah, you just,
Like,
Right.
I just want to hear it on an iPod.
yeah.
Or on my phone.
Like, honestly, get a projector if I can see dude, there we go.
Yeah.
Fucking bands that aren't touring anymore, projector and Spotify. Done.
if you got the snake bites, man, you could maybe pull it off. I don't know.
I'd have to get down with the sickness first.
As far as your respective instruments, I know that you've mentioned started on guitar.
Yeah.
Well, you've done bass, vocals, and guitar.
Yeah.
And you've also gone through a
Started on
multitude of
guitar,
instruments.
went to vocals, and played a little bit of bass.
Yeah. How did each of you start with your instruments?
So I, as a little kid, as I mentioned, played harmonica. Not well, but
balls.
I had my older brother played guitar, and I used to just like play with his guitar here and there. And my cousin David used to be in a band called Pack of Wise that literally sounds like the band Live. You know that band Live?
The name sounds
I
familiar.
think now I'm questioning, but I'm pretty sure they were called Live, and they used to sing like they were like alternative rock in the 90s. So that's the idea.
You're correct. I just can't
Yeah.
think of one of their songs.
But so basically the two of them were the ones that got me like into playing guitar and like that idea. And then like I said, when I moved to Sedona, at first it was like that weird, like I didn't have any friends yet, so like what am I gonna do? My dad's like, well, I bought you a guitar. And I'm like, wow, actually, this is my guitar. It's not my brother's. This is actually mine. Because my older brother is like, I'm 32. He's like in his like 50s. He's like a lot older than me. Well, 40s. Sorry. If you listen to this, Matt, I'm sorry. But he's in his 40s. But obviously not living together. So I had my own guitar, and I learned a few chords by like listening to Green Day, and like then I figured out what a power chord was. Yep. Then I learned what down tuning was, and then like from there I just started like playing stuff like that. Then I found Tab Crawler, for real. But what was cool was I remember I went back to New York to visit my family, and my brother was like, "Oh, you're playing guitar? That's really cool." And my sister-in-law worked at a Rogue Music, like it's equivalent to like a Sam Ash or something like that back in Brooklyn. And he was like, "Oh, they have that bass on sale. Would you play bass?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I totally would." And that's literally the bass I was using when I first joined the band. Like I had that thing since 2002 or something. God damn. I still have that bass. Yeah. Same strings.
Oh god, sounds like a bass player.
Yeah. Strings are expensive on bass. Yep. It's like
so
you can buy guitar strings for $6, or you can buy bass strings for like a whole mortgage payment.
Yeah. So that's how I got into playing bass, and then I put it on the shelf because I was playing bass, as I said, in Sedona with this band that we were called Test Subject. Nice. And I was playing bass, and then the kid who was singing was like really bad, and I remember just being like, no, we were doing a System of a Down cover, and I was like, if you're gonna sing it, you got to sing it like this, and I gave him the bass. I sung the song. And then he started playing bass in the band.
And he's like, sugar.
And they were like, you should start singing then. And I was like, oh, okay. So I ended up singing for bands and like just like playing guitar and stuff like on the side for like 13, 14 years. And that's when I got into, and then that's when I mentioned earlier how I met up with Brandon on Craigslist.
Searching
misconnections for singers. And then
you, a hot young singer on stage. Yeah. Me, a bass player.
But so once that project ended up falling through, and I started singing for this band Ape Kill Ape after American Standards had started, we played a bunch of shows together, and then Ape Kill Ape broke up on good terms, whatever. Just people were going to school, people were getting married, whatever. Brandon came into my work because I used to work for Hot Topic to put up flyers for a coming show, I think, or something like that.
When you put flyers in Hot Topics,
right?
Zia Records, the Warehouse.
Brandon was like, "What are you up to?" And I was like, "Nothing. I'm not in a band, not doing anything." And he mentioned something about how Corey was going to start playing guitar more because Corey was on bass, and I think Craig had just left the band or something like that. Craig was playing with you guys, yeah. And he even said like, "Oh, we need a bassist," and I was like, "I could do that."
Wow.
And he was like,
every bass player's response to
I could do that.
But he was like, "Can you really?"
Everybody that's ever played bass is like, "I could probably do that."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Can you really do it?" And I was like, "Actually, yeah, I probably could." So I I went out and I went to Craigslist and I bought an amp and I set up my bass as well as I could with the fucking 10-year-old strings. And I taught myself like 3 or 4 songs by ear. And then I went in to jam with them, and we played a Refused cover, and we played like 2 or 3 other songs. And then literally like a week later, they're like, "You want to play in the band?" Yeah. And I was like,
we just turned them down. But it works.
Now, do you play with pick or finger?
Oh, with a pick, yeah. I wish I could play with finger, but I'm a baby. My fingers can't hold up, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, it's hard when you're playing that fast too. I feel like you need that dig.
But you know what? My I wouldn't say a friend. I'm going to say an acquaintance of mine named Sean used to play in the band Vanna before they broke up, and he's like a killer bassist with just fingers, and like that dude is just one of my like idols. And it's funny because I met him because of my tattoo artist, because my tattoo artist was friends with the band Vanna. They went like on Warped Tour together and like all hung out. Like they're like still good friends even though the band broke up. But like when I first met them and met him and saw him play, I was just like, he's the reason why I have a Tiny Terror orange amp now, and he's the reason why I had like the strings that he used and everything like that. I wish I could play with my fingers like him. Like
literally the same strings he used.
Yeah. Literally, I took him off his bass.
Yes.
He was throwing them out.
Yeah.
I needed new strings.
But yeah, that's my short-winded story of me playing bass and my music.
So if someone could go update the Wikipedia. With
Yeah,
all that.
please.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that stuff, so
We'll
someone
be
update
waiting.
it.
For anybody wondering, there actually is a Wikipedia timeline demonstrating all the different members that have been in American Standard. Is it pretty much up to date?
I don't know.
It's up to date.
Was when you pulled it up a little bit ago.
It's up to date minus Mitch not playing with us anymore.
Okay, so it's mostly up to date. Yeah, we just need to update Mitch's section, and then we're good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So there we go, Wikipedia. And then, how did you get into?
Probably not actually much different. My dad bought me a guitar. Well, I always wanted to sing for a band, and then one Christmas, this is probably my freshman year, I opened up a gift, and out of nowhere, it's a guitar, and it's like what Squire pack? Like we're talking about like $99 Squire pack, 15-watt amp, shitty guitar, and I'm like, I don't want this. The singer gets all the girls. And then I realized quickly I couldn't sing, and my dad was probably giving me a subtle hint.
The smack across the back of the head.
Yeah, right.
The subtle hint.
So I started playing the guitar with probably not knowing how to tune it or anything. I don't know. And then I stumbled across tabs, and I started learning how to play System of a Down. And I was like, all right, I'm good enough. I could start a band. And from there, I just started playing music. I mean, honestly, like the saddest thing is I feel like once I learned how to play a few songs, I was like, okay, I kind of get how this works. And I just went on writing stuff without knowing any like music theory or anything. And then later on in life, I kind of came back to like actually appreciating like learning music theory. But so I did a band like I was talking about earlier, whereas the dream was just to tour nonstop. Yeah. Just be on the road, make a living doing this. And then when we started transitioning to where we were touring a lot, the guys were getting a little bit burnt out. They wanted to come back home. And it was just like, okay, well, then I'm going to get a real job. So I got a job, and I started just writing stuff on my own, just kind of like playing guitar, playing bass. I had never sang before, but I started doing screaming on the vocals and just started recording stuff. And then some guys came across it, and they're like, well, do you want to scream for a band? I'm like, sure. And so that's when I came into actually screaming for a band called The Hostage Situation. And I did that for about 5 years. And then once again, they kind of got to a point where it fell apart. And I'm like, all right, I'm done with music. And then American Standards came across. Cody hit me up on Craigslist or something, and it was just like one of those things like, yeah, I heard of your old band. You want to come do this? And I was like, I don't know if I really want to get back into this again. And here it is 10 years later. I'm still in it. So
American Standards, sponsored by Craigslist.
Yeah, Craigslist, right?
Craigslist to Wikipedia.
Yep. Art.
Yeah. Art.
15% off.
50% off all your art purchases.
I would laugh so goddamn hard if there actually is an art.com.
There has to be.
My favorite. So
with a discount code.
Yeah.
Two quick things.
A guy named Art.
We talked about this with Brennan, but like, do you remember the first website you went to?
Mama.com.
Mama?
That was an old search engine.
Okay, it's like InfoSeek or something.
Yep.
So Brennan and I were talking about this a while back, and he said the first time he got a computer that was in his room, he shut the door, his parents are asleep, and what does he go to? Boobs.com. Because that's like the most creative you can be as like a 9-year-old or 12-year-old. It's like, and then we're like, is that still around? So we checked it, and it was around. And guess what? Now you can get a membership for 15% off if you go to.
It still takes forever to load, like you have dial-up.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm on the phone.
Actually, I take that back. No, my first website was WWF.com.
Hell yeah, dude.
Cool.
I wanted to see some fucking Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and shit.
I for sure remember in like 6th grade going to like it was WCW or NitroGirls.com, but because of Nitro Girls.
Yeah.
And it was like the teacher was away and the boys will play.
That's right.
Dude, mine was probably something fucking lame, like some equivalent of Club Penguin. Like fucking yeah, dude. I don't even want. Let's not even think back on mine.
We expect that from you.
Yeah, dude. I'm still just as lame as when I was like 9. I might have been cooler back then, in fact.
But you had the accent.
Yeah, I was gonna say I still had the accent at that point, so I had that going.
Thanks a lot, old Andre.
Yeah, right.
Old Andre.
Young Andre was so much cooler.
No. Blame kids for being dicks. Because when I moved here, so I moved here from England.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And when I moved here, so many people were just like, "You talk weird. Like you talk so different." So I taught myself how to speak with an American accent.
Yeah.
And that was at 11. And so then I got older, and then everybody was just like women were just like, "Oh, yeah, that would have been really hot if you had the accent still." And I'm just like,
Okay, like, where were you when I was 11?
Right.
You could also blame your parents for not telling you.
So, well, yeah, well.
Do they still have accents? Or?
Yes, they. So when I talk to my parents, my accent comes back out.
That's like this guy with his New York accent.
I was gonna say, where's the Brooklyn?
Or anytime he drinks, it's like, what the hell?
Yep, dude.
Come
fucking
on.
Drunk or when I'm talking to my parents, same thing. It comes straight back out.
Yep.
Fuck the Red Sox.
Yep. That's what's up.
That's funny.
Dude, it used to be uncontrollable. Like, now when I drink, I feel like I control it a little bit better. But beforehand, like, my friends used to be able to gauge how fucking drunk I was because it was just like, oh, accent's back out. You're wasted.
So when we were talking about the CCTV, that's how you did that.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's funny.
Oh, God. So, 2019 may have been somewhat of a slower year for you guys than what you're used to.
Yep.
But I feel like there were probably still some accomplishments from 2019 that would have been noteworthy. Is there anything that you guys can speak of that happened last year? Anything?
What happened in
stood out?
2019? Did we put out Phantom them last year?
I think,
so.
yeah, it was
Probably,
last year.
Okay, so
I
yeah,
was
we
going to check Wikipedia real quick.
yeah, so we put out a single last year. I feel we've made this joke for years that like we started off like with an album and then we went to like an EP and then we went to like a smaller EP and then it was just like singles. Pretty soon we're just gonna be like putting out like sound clips. Like
30-second clips.
Here's 15 seconds of an idea we have. But yeah, so we put out a single last year called Phantom Limb, which the interesting thing is like we've run the gamut of how we've like tried to record in the past, where we've tried to go to these nice studios, have bands that we really respect, but like maybe just didn't really get our sound. So we spent a lot of money and a lot of time. With this last single, we recorded everything at home with Mitch when Mitch was drumming for us. He engineered everything. Then we sent it out to Kevin, actually, Kevin of Dillinger Escape Plan, and he mixed and mastered it. And it sounds to me like what we should have had 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we spent less time, less money, and we had more, not ownership, but we had more like, instead of being on the clock because you're in a studio and you've got 8 hours to bust out a song or something, it was like, all right, we can record as much as we want. We can come back to this week later and change things up.
Yep.
And we were able to do that with this song. And it just felt so much more comfortable. And I feel like what we came out with was the best we've ever sounded. And in doing so, it was like the least stressful it's ever been doing it. So we did that. We played a little more than a dozen shows or so. Can't remember if we did any touring last year at all. Maybe that was probably the Steak Sauce Mustache tour.
We did Steak Sauce Mustache, and then I think we did like a short run by ourselves, didn't we? Because we played
that snow tour.
that snow tour.
Yeah, we played this. So we had this tour where you don't think about snow like when you're in Arizona. So like we wake up for tour on like Thursday or something like that, and Mitch texts me and he says all the roads out of Arizona are
closed.
iced over.
Yeah.
There's no way we're getting out of here. And I'm like, we're gonna make this happen regardless. And
Yeah,
Mitch's
we
like,
were
well,
googling. We were on like the not MVD. What's the website for like roads and stuff?
ADOT.
ADOT. We were on the roads, like looking at all the
for
roads.
back roads, dirt
Looking for
roads, everything.
anything we can do. So our first show was in New Mexico, which normally we go through Flagstaff to get there.
Yeah.
We ended up going through Tucson.
We turned like a 6-hour drive into like a 12-hour drive.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's snowing. It's horrible. Like, and the crazy thing is, so we get there, and Corey, he couldn't get off work that day, so he was going to fly in. And then we finally get to the venue after like 12 hours of driving, and Corey texts us, and he's like, "The planes are circling right now. We can't land because of snow." So we ended up missing that first show. So after all that, we missed that first show because he couldn't land, and then we played like I think we did like Denver and Salt Lake.
Yeah,
and
we played
Vegas.
Salt Lake and Vegas.
So we did a couple tours last year, but nothing like, I mean, they're like a week or two at a time. So
Yeah.
that's kind of been par for the course for the last few years. Is just like not burning ourselves out, just doing a few weeks, if that. So
Yeah, and I would imagine that over like the span of 10 years, that's going to change a lot of things. Are there any major differences in the writing process now versus what are some major differences that stand out for you guys between when you first started writing or when you first started joining the band versus now?
I feel like now, like the sad thing is we don't really write or practice too often anymore because like we don't want to force it anymore. You know, before like it felt like we had to keep a momentum going, and I think that we would be after 10 years we would be in a better place or would be a bigger band if we would have continually just pushed out, like forced ourselves to push out music, forced ourselves to tour. But since we don't want to force it anymore, it's just like we've naturally slowed down. It's like, okay, if we don't have ideas, we're not going to sit in a room for 4 hours and try to push out a song that we don't believe in. So when we first started out, we were putting out more songs more frequently. We had like an album every year for 3 years, 4 years, maybe more. And then we went down to EPs, and then, you know, like I said, like it's every year we're putting out music. We're touring a bunch, we're playing a lot of shows, and we're actively going out trying to find shows. Now it's like I never now go trying to find a show to play. If we're playing a show, it's typically because we've been asked to play a show, and it's a show that we want to play. So like I was telling you earlier, like we got asked to do like 3 shows today and a tour today. And like some of that stuff I don't even send over to the guys because it's like, okay, I know this is like at a venue that normally we don't go to with bands we've probably never heard of, you know? So it's like we don't take those shows like we used to. We used to just grind as much as we could, you know? And I think that's what's changed about me, like personally too, is like I used to define myself so much by the band, by like, okay, my identity is the band, you know? And now it's like, okay, like I don't need to do that. Like everybody's multidimensional. I think like when you look at people online, like it's sad to say there's so many people I know as acquaintances, but I only see them as one dimensional. Like this guy's in this band, he does this, he does that. But it's like, yeah, he might also be into these 20 different things that you just don't see in real life. Now I'm like kind of trying to shift back. It's like, I'm not just the band. Like I do everything else. And when the band works. And when it doesn't, I'm not trying to force it to work, you know? Because before that, I was just driving the band all the time. I was just like, let's play every show we're asked. Let's actively try to get on as many tours as we can, put out as much music as we can. And it's stressful. And now, like, I'm not stressed at all because it's just like, all right, we're going to get asked to play shows every single week. And when the right show comes through, we'll play it. But we're not going to try to force ourselves to make our schedules work for something that's not right for us, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's negatively affecting you guys. You guys are still getting thousands of plays on Spotify and whatnot. Like
literally making $20s of dollars. Just sleeping on piles of pennies.
Well,
out in full.
Yeah, we take it out to the bank and we just purposely say, "Can you convert this to pennies, please?"
Yeah. Put them in a sock and hit people with it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, what closing words would you guys have for the fans and whatnot?
Closing words.
Better be something.
My closing words are closing words. I just
very
want to
eloquent.
say,
And that's the podcast.
I just want to say, dreams can come true. You can join American Standards like me.
And there's gonna be a lot of opportunities down the line.
drummer.
'Cause
If
we
you're a
have a
drummer.
very high turnover, not very good retention rate. So like, if you just waited out long enough and you want to be in this band, there's gonna be an opportunity. Just keep checking those misconnections on Craigslist. It's gonna be there.
So I've been waiting for the vocal spot.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
Oh, yeah. Just make sure you have a car and a job.
I mean, I could probably play bass.
Although I will say, I have been the longest lasting bass player.
there you go.
It's
So
a
that's a
trophy.
plus.
That's participation award
Yeah,
right there.
participation.
Oh, God.
Well, I'm gonna be the new vocalist, so
Yeah, there. Wow. I'm being shipped over to bass. It would be 2 basses, whatever. It's
Yeah,
cool.
you play the low strings, he'll play the high strings.
Yeah.
There we go.
Done.
Neither one of us we plugged in.
No.
And any closing words?
No, just I mean, honestly, like I think the only thing that I wanted to accomplish as a band when we went into this was just telling people like you don't have to like fit a certain mold to just go out there and do your thing. You know, like there are a lot of scenes and you can fit into those scenes, but sometimes it's also cool just to do your own thing. If people catch on, they catch on, but if they don't, just have fun doing what you're doing. You know?
Right.
And it's like it doesn't take a shit ton of talent, obviously. A little good looks, obviously. But no, it's just like, yeah, just go out there. Like I think 90% of the people in my life are directly related to music, if not more. You know, it's just like everybody I hang out with on a day-to-day basis, like every city I've playing just random like Paducah, Kansas or something like that, or Kentucky. It's like these random cities that we played in, all the experiences I've had in my life has almost been all directly related to music.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you don't need anything special. Just go out there and buy a $99 Squire and you're probably set.
Yeah.
And then when you realize you're not good at that, just play bass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys, for coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for
blast.
having us.
having
This
us.
was fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do want to do a quick shout out if I can to
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Narwhal.
Oh yeah, they're solid.
They're solid dudes. They're really cool.
The singer Steven actually remastered our first album, Still Life, which we put out.
and he hit me up.
last year.
He hit me up today and said, "Hey, I'm getting shirts printed in your size. Which one do you want?" So that's super nice of
Hell
him.
yeah, nice.
So that's why I'm just shouting out Narwhal, and I want to shout out Rainy Days because they have a new EP out that we just played their CD release show last time.
They're good.
So I just want to
They
shout
got
out them real
married.
quick.
The first wedding at the Rebel Lounge.
Ooh.
Nice.
They got married after their set. Yeah, that's cool.
Echo and Forrest, their drummer and singer. Yeah. So
Dude,
Nice.
dope.
if I'm thinking of shout outs, we're gonna get shit if we don't get shout out Dipper from It's All Good.
Yeah,
Because he's gonna be the first one to post.
yeah, he is.
Trevor from Sundress might give us crap if we don't say something about him.
Yeah.
And Cody from the God Samaritan. So there, I covered all my bases. Everybody else, fuck it.
Well,
We'll edit that. I don't know. You put a beep
Yeah,
on there
no,
or
I
something.
told you, there's no fucking ads
Monetization,
here.
man. Monetization.
Yeah, you're right. All right, everyone, stay safe. Don't get coronavirus. And we love you, Arizona. Thank you.
Thank you very
thank
much.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Other like, that's what